Hey guys, it's Dodie. I wanted to come on and tell you a little bit about what I've been doing on my journey the last almost 3 months. So I decided back in July to take control of my health and started a weight loss program. This is not one that is sponsored in any way, and some of the products I'm going to show you are just ones that I have found through the stores and through trial and error, things that I like personally, but there's no sponsorship whatsoever. And this is just to give you some ideas on how I lost some weight and how you might look at doing some healthier options and losing weight as well. So the first thing I want to show you is what I do for breakfast. On the weekends, I usually cook bacon and eggs and sometimes my homemade biscuits. And you can see that video earlier on how to make the perfect Southern biscuit. But I've kind of stayed away from carbs. I've stayed away from biscuits and breads and things like that. And I've looked more onto the proteins and the healthier fats, low calorie, low carb type foods. So I either do bacon and eggs. I like boiled eggs or sometimes scrambled eggs. My husband likes fried eggs, but any kind of eggs that you want. I also, if I do scrambled, I'll add cheese on it, some cheddar cheese, bacon, sausage, any of those items. I usually do those on the weekends. So during the week, I do a very simple breakfast. I usually get yogurt, and they have some really good options out now that are zero. This one is it's called 000. It's vanilla. They have a lot of different flavors you can get, different variety packs. And I like to do these. They have zero sugar. I think it's 90 calories. And then some of them have 7 carbs, some are 10 carbs, some are 5 carbs. So just look at your carbs. This particular one I think was 7 carbs. But I really look for something that's usually 10 carbs or less in the mornings to start out with, because I'm going to add some things to it. The next thing I looked for was how to spice up my yogurt, because I don't like it just plain. And so I found these. These are at one of the big superstores, and it's just called Keto Low Carb Nut Granola. So it only has 2 grams of net carbs, and if you look on the back, this one says that it has 9 carbs total, and then you take out the dietary fiber and sugars to get the net carbs. So this one is for 1/3 of a cup, and I don't use nearly 1/3 of a cup. I just put some sprinkles on. It's probably maybe 2 tablespoons worth. So I'm not even getting the full 2 carbs, maybe 1 net carb by the time I add that onto my yogurt, just to give it some flavor. And they have different flavors. This one is cinnamon pecan. They also have a birthday cake, which I haven't tried that one yet. And then they have pumpkin spice, which I like that a lot too, because I like all the cinnamon and nutmeg type flavors as well. So I add that to my yogurt in the morning, and that's what I have, usually around 7:30 or 8 o'clock. So this is me just adding some granola. This has got pumpkin seeds and pecans and other little nuts and pieces in here. So I do maybe about 2 tablespoons. I just kind of put it on top and stir it in. Now in the mornings, I will do a couple of different drinks. So I have found these, again, not sponsored, but these Celsius drinks, they have no carbs. So actually it says 2 carbs on this one, so almost no carbs. So 2 carbs and no sugars. And it gives you a good pep, energy type drink, different flavors again. I found that the peach flavor is one of my favorites, but that one's hard to find. And then I'll show you how I do my coffee. Okay, so I just wanted to show you a few things that I use in my coffee. You can use whatever flavor coffee you like. I like more of a light roast, so I get a light roast blend, but if you like the dark roast or any kind of roast that you like, feel free to do that. I also like flavors in my coffee, and they do have some that are sugar-free. Make sure you see the label that says sugar-free. I tend to lean more toward the vanilla, the French vanilla, than I do the caramel, but you can mix them together or take one or the other. The other thing is the sugar substitute. So this is the best one I have found. Again, not sponsored, but if you find something that has this name in it, and I will probably butcher the name, it's erythritol or something like that. It comes from the monk fruit plant, and it has 10 carbs for 2.5 teaspoons. So it does have carbs in it, but not nearly as many as the just regular sugar does. And I don't use 2.5 teaspoons. I just use about a half a teaspoon. Also some almond milk. If you can't do nuts or things like that, this one has 1 carb for 1 cup. Again, I don't even do a cup of it. But if you can't do the almond, you can always do coconut milk or rice milk or something that's more suitable for you that has less carbs. And then also I get the sugar-free, 0 sugar, any type of these. They have, Starbucks has one, Coffee Mate has one. They have white chocolate flavor. This one's pumpkin spice because that's the season we're in right now. But any kind of flavor that you want to put in for your creamer, I like to put these as my creamers. And so I'm gonna make up a cup of the type of coffee I like, and just make sure you're substituting it with things that are 0 sugar and less carbs. Okay, so like I said, I usually get about a half a teaspoon of the sugar substitute, and I'm gonna pour in some of my vanilla. This one has 0 calories and 0 carbs, 0 sugars, and I pour in a good amount. This is the end of this bottle, but that's probably about 2 teaspoons, maybe almost a tablespoon. So I'm gonna go ahead and take my mixture and put the coffee, brew the coffee in here so it kind of starts melting those sugars and sugar substitutes and flavors together. And I just wanted to point out on this sugar substitute, even though it says it has 10 carbs, and then 10 of that is from the erythritol. I'm sure I'm saying that wrong. And so it gives you net 0 carbs. So you really want to look at your net carbs, your 0 carbs, very few carbs when you're making your drink. And while my coffee's brewing, I went ahead and got a cup of ice because I like to drink my coffee over ice. And I'll show you how I put it together. Okay, so my coffee's brewed. It filled up about a cup full here. I don't really measure things. I'm just gonna kind of pour it in and eyeball it. But we'll say that's maybe 1 tablespoon, maybe 2 tablespoons of the coffee creamer. And then I fill the rest up with almond milk because I like more creamer than I like coffee. So now that this is full, I'm gonna go ahead and you can stir it up a little bit. And then I'm gonna pour it over my ice. And that is how I like to drink my coffee. All right, so let's talk about meal replacement shakes. This is something that I was not really into until I started this journey. And I started with a company called Plexus. So again, not sponsored, and I don't sell Plexus, but I started with this one. They have a vanilla and a chocolate flavored. This one has starts with 11 carbs, but it has 5, 10 carbs that you kind of take out to get pretty much 1 net carb. So there's really not many carbs in here at all for the creamy vanilla. And this one tasted great. I also liked their chocolate one. I tried a few different things. Again, when you go look in the stores, it's really hard to know which of these I'm supposed to try or use. And so some of these were for protein. Some said collagen protein powder. Some just said collagen. Some just said protein. Some said lose weight. And so what I really looked at to know what I was doing was the total carbs. This one has 3 total carbs with dietary fibers of 3, so it ends up being 0 net carbs. This one has a keto name on it, so I kind of looked at keto or Atkins. I even looked at Slim Fast. This one is a creamy chocolate. This one has 100 calories and it has 7 carbs minus your fibers and sugar. So this one ends up being about 1 net carb. Again, a good option for me. I was looking at net carbs. And then this is a new one. I haven't opened it yet, but it looked very interesting and had a different flavor on it that I haven't tried yet. And I wanted to see how it would taste compared to the others. This one has quite a bit more carbs in it than these others do, but that's to be expected because it does have all the different flavors and sugars. But by the time you take out, this one has 19 carbs, but it has 8 dietary fiber and 4 sugar. So you take away 12 of those. So you're still looking at more carbs in this one than you would the other options over here. But we'll give it a go and we'll see. For the chocolate one, for chocolate and the Plexus chocolate, the one I used to have, I always mix in some almond butter, about a tablespoon of almond butter to give it a chocolate peanut buttery taste, which I really like. And then for the vanilla, this vanilla one and this vanilla one, I would mix in some frozen strawberries, about 3 or 4 strawberries that I had in my freezer to give it more of a smoothie taste to me and to get a fruit in my diet. And so you can kind of mix these up. You can mix up different flavors and try them out and see which ones you like. But again, look at your carbs and see exactly which ones you like that are gonna meet your goals. One of the things too that I do is I mix it only with water. Some of these say you can mix it with fat-free milk. It will increase your calories a little bit as well as your carbs, so just keep that in mind. I always mix mine with water to keep that low, but you can do a non-fat milk as well. And I do usually a meal replacement shake 4 to 5 times a week. So I'm either gonna do it for lunch, which is usually my habit, and every now and then I'll do it for dinner if it's on a weekend and we're having something else for lunch, then I'll do these as a meal replacement. Some of them will say use 1 scoop, some will say use 2 scoops, some of them have a really big scoop or a smaller scoop, so just read on the package what it says to do based on which one that you get. One of the things that I like to drink in between my meals is, this one is by Plexus, but there's others on the market as well. It's a hunger control, and you just mix one of their tubes with 8 ounces of water, shake it up really good, and you can, it'll help kind of control those cravings in between meals. But we're also gonna talk about snacks as well. All right, so some of my favorite snacks is I try to get cheeses and some healthy fats such as guacamole, some nuts, various different nuts. I'll do cashews or almonds or things like that. And then I try to get almond flour type crackers or keto crackers or things like that. So one of my favorites is this. It's called keto crackers. This one has pumpkin seeds, almonds, hemp seeds, coconut, sunflower seeds. It has 7 carbs minus the 2 dietary fibers, so 5 carbs for 5 crackers. And then this one has 1 sugar alcohol, so it takes it down to 4 net carbs. And I like to dip the guacamole. I'll just use one of these entire snack size guacamoles for my afternoon snack, and that is really good. One of the other things I like to do is different cheeses. So here we have some already rolled mozzarella sticks with prosciutto or pepperoni or salami, things like that that you can get kind of ready-made. We got these at the big warehouse store, already pre-rolled and made, so I can just take these out as I want those, or I can snack on other cheeses. These are some of the harder cheeses that you can snack on. And I put those on the almond flour crackers. Again, if you can't do almond flour, you can look for some that don't have the almond in them. One thing to be careful of, because we have allergies in our family, is so many of these are made with rosemary extract. So if you do have a rosemary allergy, like some of our family members do, make sure you read your ingredients on that. This one, the serving size is 17 crackers, and I very rarely eat 17 crackers in one sitting. But if you do, just make sure that you look at the carbs on the side. This one has 16 carbs if you eat that many. So I usually do about half that, and with some cheese or some nuts or things like that. So these are the healthy snacks that I like to eat kind of mid-afternoon to get me through to dinner. All right, so let's talk about snacks and candy bars. So I love my chocolate. Candy is a weakness of mine. And so I went searching for things that had, again, low calories, low carbs, that tasted good. And that can be hard because some of these protein bars and things like that, they actually have the same number of carbs as a candy bar. So you need to be careful and really read your labels. For example, this one has 14 total carbs, but by the time you take out your dietary fibers and sugars here, you're looking at maybe 5 carbs per bar. Now these are small, they're not your big giant candy bar. So this one, you can see my hands, I got small hands, so it's a smaller bar, but it's enough to get you through. And they have different flavors. This one was at the GNC store. I think my favorite one of all is this peanut butter pie. It is so creamy, so delicious. It does not taste like a protein bar. It doesn't have that granola-y type flavor to me. The Thin Mint, that one's a good one. And then these little cups that are similar to like a peppermint patty, or this one is, I think it's a caramel one, chocolate caramel, yep. And then they also have a peanut butter one like this too that's very similar to like a Reese's peanut butter cup. And then Slim Fast has some too, the keto bombs. This is like an Oreo type cup. They have all different varieties, different flavors. And then they have keto candy bars. This one is a chocolate dream, and this one is a peanut butter chocolate. Again, these aren't real big. They're just kind of like a smaller original Snickers size bar. They're not super large. But this one has less than 1 gram of sugar in it. It's excellent. This one, these two, this brand, Genius Gourmet, has a little more crunch to it, almost like it's been whipped with a lot of air in it to give it kind of a creamy, airy flavor, whereas these are a little more dense. So get you some good snacks. If you need to get a snack, then get one that doesn't have very many carbs, and you can still get that craving that you need to get you through that time of day as well. And I don't eat these every day. Maybe every other day I'll grab one. If I'm getting hungry and don't want to quite go fix something to eat yet, then I'll eat one of these. All right, so we've talked about breakfast and snacks and meal replacement shakes. But what about real food? Where's the real food, Dodie? Where's that come into play? So what I like to do is at least one healthy meal per day that has protein, a meat, a veggie, maybe 2 veggies, or a really nice salad. And so I really focus on getting things that are a little healthier as my one good meal of the day, and I don't eat very much of it. So I try to limit my portions. For example, meat, they say you should have meat no larger than the size of your palm. So I try to eat a little bit of meat as well. And if we go out to eat, which we do sometimes, I will order usually the salad that's on the menu, or if it's some kind of chicken or steak or fish or pork, then I'll eat that and a vegetable on the side. So really I just try to stick with the whole vegetable and meat idea and try to keep it as lean as possible. I don't want anything with lots of heavy gravy or soups or things that might have breading on it. I try to keep that to a minimum. And for vegetables, I look for any kind of vegetable that you want, really. Greens, things that are low carb. I try to stay away from potatoes, but I do like a sweet potato. And so I try to stay away from pastas and things like that. Now, if I'm presented and the only thing we have is a pasta dish like a lasagna, then I'll try to scrape out the meat and cheese and eat that and not eat so much of the noodles. One of the other things that I like to do is a huge salad. So I'll fix a lot of fresh salads here at home and add cheese and meats and bacon and my own light dressing. You can make a fat-free dressing on your own. They sell things, again, not sponsored, but they sell these little kits where all you have to do is add the oil and the water, and you get a very good dressing that doesn't have a lot of calories or carbs in it. So just really read your labels. We like to fix salmon. We like to fix chicken. I like to do a lot of stir fry on the stove, so I might put some peppers and onions in with it, cabbage, things like that that you can really eat and feel full on, and it's a really good meal without losing out flavor and without skimping too much. So that is the secret on how I did it. I know a lot of people do it different ways, and what works for one person might not work for another person, or your flavors profile might be very different than my flavor profile. But I just wanted to give you some of my tips and tricks on how I have lost weight. I started mid-July. It is now almost mid-October, and I am at the 20-pound mark. So I have lost 20 pounds. I weigh less now than I did before I got married, before I had 2 kids. And I'm very proud of that. I fit back into all my old clothes. I didn't have to go buy a new wardrobe, and I'm really proud that I've been able to stick with it this long. And it seems like the more you stick with it, the more you get into it and the more committed you become. So I haven't really had any cheat days or anything like that. I feel very comfortable by turning down certain items that I know are not good for me. So I hope you guys get something out of this video, and that it helps you make some good decisions, and just read those labels. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free to like, subscribe, and comment down below and let us know how you are doing on your weight loss journey. Thanks. We'll see you next time.